You may now begin your presentation.
Hello from Ireland.
Fáilte go Héireann.
Ní hao.
Think about it. It was me high and low, down in the heart, hidden and starvable. Without it, life is wasting time. Look inside your heart now, look inside mine. Things look so bad everywhere. In this whole world, what's fear? We won't blind, we try to see. Falling behind, what could be?
Ireland, a country of 100,000 welcomes. A country with a population of mere 5 million people. Yet, over 70 million people all over the world call Ireland their home.
Enactus University College Dublin is proud to be here representing Ireland in the World Enactus competition in Beijing. My name is Aoife.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Cian.
I am Roisin. I am Patricia, and this is Stephanie on Tech.
Enactus University College Dublin is a unique team. We come from across 6 different countries across the world. We are comprised of both postgraduate and undergraduate students. Together, we've strived to solve 2 social problems in our community. First, social isolation felt by the elderly in our community, and the lack of safe, affordable accommodations for students, with one initiative.
Loneliness and social isolation among elderly people is a growing concern in Ireland. Mass emigration, particularly in recent years, has had an impact on the care and time dedicated to the ageing community. Without solid family networks to care for them, more and more elderly people are being forced to care for themselves, leading to an increase in the phenomenon of social isolation among elderly and the related health risks. And we are not the only people to notice this growing concern in our home country. One national newspaper headline read, "Is loneliness in old age inevitable? Not in a caring society." And this was our call to action.
Loneliness and social isolation can have detrimental effects on a person's health. People who suffer from loneliness and isolation have a 14% higher chance of premature death and a 64% increased risk of developing clinical dementia. People today are living longer. The problem of loneliness is only going to get worse. It is a shame that while we have been so successful in adding years to life, we have not been so successful in adding life to those years.
An Irish charity called Third Age told us that they receive over 2,000 calls a month from elderly people regarding loneliness and financial worries. Another charity, St. Vincent de Paul, has stated, "There is nothing worse than loneliness. It is the worst form of poverty." However, this is not just an Irish issue. Over 841 million people in the world today are over the age of 60, and over 1/3 of those people are living alone.
While investigating the reality of this pressing social issue, we met with Betty, who told us about her experience of living alone.
When James was here, my son, my youngest son, was here, he was coming and going, but I always felt he'd turn up shortly because he was staying here. When each of them came out of university, they couldn't get decent jobs. And because they couldn't get decent jobs, they went abroad to get them. And when they go abroad young, they marry people from abroad. And so they've lost them forever. They come back 5 days, 10 days, but they really never come back again. You know, on their own. It doesn't matter how many children.
Aside from the issue of elderly living alone, during the academic year, Dublin becomes home to over 80,000 Irish and international students, many of whom struggle to find safe and affordable accommodation near to their universities. One such student was our Enactus teammate, Patricia.
As a student coming from Germany to Ireland, I applied for student accommodation and got onto the waitlist, place 617. So when I set off for Ireland, I didn't have anywhere to stay. How would you feel sending off your children to a foreign country, a foreign city, where they don't know anyone and you wouldn't know where they'd stay? My parents were really concerned. So I booked some nights in a hostel and immediately went to viewings upon my arrival. But I could neither find something safe nor affordable. So in the end, I stayed in different hostels for several weeks, with more than 15 people in one room, other students and tourists who were partying night after night, while I had to hand in my first assignments. I already saw my grades suffering.
And just like Patricia, over 5,500 international students come to Dublin to study in UCD each year. Over 10,000 students apply for little over 2,500 on-campus accommodation places provided by the university. In fact, rental prices in Dublin have increased by 26% in just the last 3 years. This is an issue we've not only seen in universities across Ireland, but also across the globe.
In addition, many landlords today are now refusing to rent to students, preferring professionals and young families. So for some students, the student housing crisis now means daily commutes to university that are hours long, and for those even less fortunate, this eliminates the prospect of a university education. Team Enactus UCD saw these two issues not as a problem, but as one opportunity, and we developed a solution. Our solution is generation accommodation.
Generation accommodation aims to bridge the generational gap between dependable students and senior members of society, providing companionship in return for affordable accommodation. Our business model is a simple one. However, it has proven to be highly effective.
The first part of the business model is advertisement. So we had to think, how are we going to spread the word about this generation accommodation initiative? To reach students, we set up a Facebook page, a Twitter account, and developed an informative website. But we knew that for us, reaching homeowners was going to prove much more difficult. I mean, how do you reach an entire community of people who are socially isolated? We solved this by going out into the community ourselves. We met with local people and built relationships with the locals. And through building trust with these people, we gained credibility for generation accommodation. And this is how we reached our homeowners. Further to this, we broadcasted our project on most national radio stations in the country and all national newspapers. In total, our marketing campaign had a combined total reach of over 12 million hits.
To help people find out more about generation accommodation, we held hugely successful information events in August. Generation accommodation has become a movement. We empower the elderly and the students by connecting them with each other.
Step 2. Our applicants contacted us via our dedicated phone line, email, website, and via our social media sites. They then sent in an application form stating their motivations for wanting to join generation accommodation, and this allowed us to get to know the individual on a better level. This information is then inputted into our database and provides a basis for our unique matching process. In total, we've had over 130 applications, 70 of which were students and 60 were homeowners.
Step 3, our matching process. Our unique and personalized matching process allows us to find the most suitable match between students and homeowners based on their needs, their interests, their hobbies, their personalities, and accommodation requirements. So, for example, if a senior homeowner wants to learn French and a student from France signs up for our program, these two would make the perfect match, providing they'd be otherwise suitable as well.
Step 4 then is what we call the meet and greet. So once we think we've made what we think is an appropriate match on paper, we invite each person to meet in person to get a feel for how they will get along together. And for international students, we've also facilitated Skype meetings. We then give each person time to consider progressing to the next stage.
Step 5. Through our workings with Arthur Cox, a global leading law firm, we have drawn up the Generation Accommodation License to Reside. This protects both the interests of the homeowner and of the student and allows them to come up with their own personal set of house rules with a Generation Accommodation representative. We ask each applicant to our program to provide character references, and though not legally required, we do offer a police vetting service to our members.
To keep this initiative sustainable, we take a $30 membership fee from each individual part of a successful match. This helps to cover our day-to-day expenses, such as our phone and maintenance of our website.
The final stage, the Generation Accommodation business model, is the Generation Accommodation community events. This helps us further bridge the generational gap between the students and the homeowners. We hold events such as trips to UCD Theatre, trips to cinema, and of course, knitting classes.
We have already begun to see the social impact that Generation Accommodation can have. To date, we've positively transformed the lives of 22 people and also indirectly impacted over 200 people with just our pilot program. One student who has reaped the benefits of participating in Generation Accommodation is our teammate, Patricia.
Generation Accommodation provided me with a home, a safe and loving environment where I could study. Without Generation Accommodation, my grades would have suffered tremendously. I would have had to repeat failed assignments. And without Generation Accommodation, I wouldn't have had the time to contribute my energy to help more people, to change lives.
One homeowner who has also been greatly impacted by the presence of a student in her home is Anne. Please listen to her story.
When you have a student in the house, the atmosphere in the house completely changes. And it's incredible. The student could be up in the bedroom, and you could be downstairs, but it's completely different to having nobody upstairs. I think it's fantastic from that point of view. It changes the whole atmosphere in the house, and you don't feel as vulnerable.
Along with this, Generation Accommodation has a large economic impact. On average, students save 47% compared to the private rental market in Dublin. They save over $40,000, while the elderly in our community have an additional $65,000 per semester.
From a small pilot, we are set to grow. Our projections are as follows. Year 1, we targeted 7,500 UCD students forced to look for off-campus accommodation and match those with some of the 12,000 elderly people living in the surrounding areas. If we target just 5% of the 7,500 students and just 3% of the 12,000 elderly people living alone, we can potentially have over 360 matches. If we take our $30 membership fee from 360 matches, we will have revenue per semester of $22,000. Year 2, our membership fee will increase to $60. We will then expand to all other universities and colleges in Dublin and match those with some of the 35,600 elderly people living alone in Dublin. Year 3, expanding nationwide, matching some of the 136,000 elderly people living in the country with some of the 190,000 students studying in Ireland. From there, the possibilities are endless, with loneliness being a worldwide issue and a business model applicable to any country. Our project can be expanded globally.
We wanted to ensure that generation accommodation would be sustainable. We have a constant revenue stream as we take our membership fee from each of our matches at the start of every semester. We have a fully supportive faculty staff behind us in UCD and 35 new members for Enactus UCD. We plan on hiring 2 part-time employees to work on generation accommodation. We have worked closely with 3 Irish charities, Age Action, Alone, and Friends of the Elderly. And we have also worked very closely with our business advisory board from Enactus. Generation accommodation as a brand is growing due to our extensive media coverage.
Enactus UCD with generation accommodation have solved 2 pressing issues in our local community: the lack of safe, affordable accommodation and the social isolation felt by the elderly, with one initiative: generation accommodation.
Sha.
Gurv Mila.
Thank you to the team from Ireland. Judges, you may now begin the question and answer period.
I'm Jörg Kreil from Germany. One question, very impressive project, but what I have not yet understood is how do we ensure sustainability of your business model? What happens when you step out?
Well, thank you very much for your question. We plan on hiring our 2 employees, and we have 35 new members of Enactus working behind it. And we hope that as a brand we'll grow, so our business will grow. And we're also looking into different options with our advice firm, Arthur Cox, the legal firm, so franchising and different business models. We haven't decided yet. We're growing in the process. Thank you.
It's a very fine idea. I wanted to ask, is the initial matching process automated?
Thank you for your question. So if I may repeat, you asked if the initial matching process is automated, right? Okay. So basically, thank you. So no, at the moment, our initial matching process is done by ourselves. So we have our application forms. The applicants fill in their needs, their personalities, their interests and hobbies. And based on those variables, we are going to match the people. So at the moment, it's at the initial stage with our pilot project with an Excel sheet. And this is then done by ourselves.
I was wondering, the 3rd year, are the students going to commute because it's outside Dublin? So are the students very interested to live outside Dublin?
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that?
The 3rd year of your plan, of your business plan, is outside Dublin, and I was just wondering if the students would like to live outside the student place where they study, so they have to commute. So did you look into this?
No, there's actually more universities all across Ireland, so we plan on doing it in each city. So there's ones in the different cities around Ireland, and we plan on matching people who live in Dublin to the students who want to study in Dublin, and the same for the different cities.
So I had 2 questions, sorry for that, but probably the most important is the safety of the elderly people, and how do you maintain that? How do you, day after day, night after night, assure their safety with these students? That's a big question. And I wasn't clear on the understanding, do the residents get $65,000 a year? And that seemed like a big number to me. Maybe you could address those.
Thank you for your question. I'll take the first one. So to protect the students, firstly, our matching process is very rigorous, Hopefully we attract all the right students, so we attract the type of students who will pay and are safe for the elderly to live with. Also, we do ask for character references from each of our applicants, so we screen them in that way. And as additional security, we offer the police vetting service. So we've made a partnership with a charity that fast-tracks our police vetting service. If either member wants to apply for that, then we fast-track their applications. That's how we ensure the safety. Thank you.
Over here, a great project. I'm wondering, can you tell us about other activities and projects that you're doing as a team?
So this might come as news to you. We are actually only 9 months old. So this is our first project. So while Enactus UCD has been around for 3 years, this team has only been around for 9 months. So we put all our effort and energy into this one project to ensure that it was as effective and as sustainable as possible. So the 18 team members worked throughout the year as hard as possible to ensure the flow of this. And this will help provide next year with another project that will enable them to grow further next year. Thank you.
Klaus-Peter Meyer from Germany. I would like to ask how many people have now found via your initiative up to now a new home?
Well, as we said, our total impact at the moment is 22 people. So actually 11 students have found a home through our initiative. But as far as I heard from some other team members, actually we just made a new match last week. So we have 2 more people impacted. So the answer is 12.
Hi, this is Steve Bratsby from the United States. You showed, I think it was in the second year, where your membership went up from $30 to $60. Can you talk a little bit about the analysis you did to understand?
Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in thanking the team from Ireland.